it back at a rate of, let's say, 10%, and you take, let's say, 4 months to clear the 2 million. How does it work?
Now, it depends on the arrangement you have with this money lender. Some money lenders want you to pay the money at once. For example, if I'm taking a loan of 2 million Uganda shillings and I'm saying I'm paying it in a month, I'm supposed to be paying back if you say 10%, that is 2.2.
Yes.
And if it's someone that says, okay, you're paying it in installments, usually the organized ones will pay usually according to policy. It's reducing balance. So if they'll assess and so they'll give you an amortization sheet where, for example, if I've taken 4 million Uganda shillings every month, and I'm paying for a period of 4 months, every month I'm going to be paying about 1.4. Now, of the 1.4, there is part of it is part of the principal, which is being reduced, but there is also the interest. Now, if I pay today, the next month, depending on how much was taken off at that point, they're going to look at what principal has remained. Then they now incorporate the percentage of interest, and then I pay. So you're paying the same amount of money, but your principal keeps reducing until the 4 months elapse.
So,
that is for the organized
I'm trying
ones.
to paint a picture for our viewer out there. If I've borrowed 4 million and maybe the first month I'm paying 1 million, so I can actually pay 1.1, another 1.1, another 1.1. Or what happens in the event that you can't pay the principal, but then there is this rate that you're supposed to be paying, the interest rate that is supposed to be paid for as long as you have the money? Again,
depending on the arrangement you have with whoever you've borrowed from. Some say, if you cannot manage to pay me part of the principal, pay me my interest per month. You realize they're not making any loss.
No.
Their profit on that money was the interest. So if I'm supposed to pay 1.2 this month, and I fail to get the 1 million, I should pay the 200,000.
Yes.
Next month, my principal has still remained the same.
Yes.
But if I still fail to pay on the principal, I have to pay the 200. So by the time you stretch it through and calculate how much you've spent, what seemed like a safer option is actually not as safe, because it's leaving you literally working for this individual, because the little is going to this person.
Well, as we close, Robert, we have just a few seconds. Do you think that financial literacy would enable people to steer clear of money lenders, especially the fake ones?
No, I don't think. Because however much people are aware of that,
people know that their land can be taken, their cars can be taken.
The issue remains.
So it's not an issue of financial literacy?
Unless our former commercial institutions find ways of being able to expedite their loan process, people will still run to money lenders because there's desperation. Chantal, Olive, Sonko, and our viewer, it's time to face school fees. Let me just give an example. Your children are seated home. Someone comes and tells you there's someone who is going to be able to give you money. There's this institution. Any parent will rush and get that money out of desperation. Yet money lenders, this is how they make profit. High interest rate, extremely high interest rate, or taking your collateral. That is how this business operates. That a person will know you're taking less money, but they will not, because a bank will assess, how is your business moving? Where are you going to get the source of this money to pay back? Now a money lender looks at it two ways. If I don't get the extreme high profits that Chantal has well explained, then my target will be the asset you're leaving behind. Leave alone these on apps that some smart people have been able even to dupe and go without paying. But if you enter in an office of a money lender, their main target is to take what you've put as collateral because it makes more money for them, or to benefit from your high interest rates. So the thing is, first, go to a genuine money lender. Because they are regulated, at least for them, there are certain issues they won't do. Look for the two certificates.
They won't hide away from you when time
Look
comes
for the
for
two
you to pay
certificates
back.
that we've talked about here. So ensure if you're to go to a money lender, because we can't stop Ugandans, that must be a genuine, registered, regulated money lender. At least they are a bit better.
All right, a bit. choice of words, they're a bit better. But we do understand that times are hard, and pretty much everyone takes a loan. Even businesses that are huge will go to a bank. Even the government borrows. But as you borrow money, you need to be very careful. Where are you getting your money from? At what cost? And what do you stand to lose? Because there is always someone who is going to lose something if you do not do due diligence. Like my colleagues have said, make sure you identify the certificates of registration in these places before you lose everything. But that's all that we have for you right now. We will take a short break, and when we come back, we have Good Morning Uganda Tourism Express, and later on, business updates and traffic updates with Chantal Olive Akaninda. Stay tuned.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you the tragic story of the mighty empire of Bunyoro Kitara. Enjoy the story of Africa's mighty warrior Omkama Kabalega in Tuko Pamoja Bunyoro segment.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
When the Bachwezi weekend that we see the emergence of all these other kingdoms that were under Bunyoro Kingdom. That's Buganda, Bunyoro, Karagwe, Rwanda, Burundi, Nkore.
We are similar people.
And genetically, we are even the same people.
Use that word, pamoja.
Kagadi at URDT Institute on Friday, 2nd August. Hoima Resort Hotel on Saturday, 3rd August. Masindi at Bija Hotel on Sunday, 4th August 2024. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko pamoja?
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the Parish development model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The Parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning and thank you for joining us here on Good Morning Uganda. It's now time for me to take you into the world of business to see what is coming in from that side of things, of which we are starting off with bank fraud, because there's a new report coming in and it is showing that recognizing and rewarding integrity is something that many of the banking institutions have been encouraged to continue using in a way to monitor and appreciate those who are cracking down the bank fraud within the financial institutions in Uganda. Now, when it comes to looking at striving and seeing a business grow and also striking a balance between business growth and upholding strong internal controls, like controlling of illicit money deals, as well as controlling any sort of banking fraud, Michael Atig-Ego, the Deputy Bank of Uganda, has said that it is essential as for anyone in the banking institutions to curb any level of banking fraud in the country. He was making these remarks at the second Financial Fraud Forum 2024 in Kampala, where the financial sector players from within Uganda and beyond had converged to discuss and strategize on combating fraud in the country, looking out for the fact that very many banks have been losing billions of shillings over the years simply because of bank fraud. And when it comes to the fact that the banking institutions have already turned to digital, it became very easier for many of the fraudsters to utilize that space to start stealing money off people's accounts. And of course, this is something that many of the banking institution giants within the country and across the region are making different amends to ensure that they kind of control and prevent the continuous bank fraud in the sector. Not only that, you get to realize that there are quite many innovations that are being brought up by many of the banks within the region to ensure that at least they kind of mitigate the ever-growing and challenging issue of fraudsters, especially when it comes to online banking, which seems to be the only way that banks are transitioning into, with the various developments coming in from the digital banking apps, and then also apps where you can easily access money, deposit, withdraw, open up accounts. So you get to see that it's very easy for many of the fraudsters to tap into savers accounts online, and that is why many of the banking gurus have converged in Kampala to ensure that they try to to come up with solutions that will be for a long term to deal with this ever challenging issue that seems to be affecting many of those in the banking sector. Now, besides that, Eric Mugo from Safaricom Kenya noted that card fraud and mobile money fraud takes the lead in the region due to their remote nature. Echoing these sentiments was also Basil Kithiji from Visa, who highlighted that fraud has become an ecosystem issue with fraudsters now collaborating globally, because now this is something that is on the internet, meaning many of the fraudsters have various connections with Nigerians, people from the Arab world, people from the US. So it's just like one huge bunch of individuals that definitely give each other links in order to tap into various accounts of savers. And the Uganda Bankers Association also continued to report losses amounting to billions of shillings annually simply because of fraud, that is through the ATMs and also through the internet banking. And then the second Financial Fraud Forum 2024 was organized still by the Uganda Bankers Association, which was under the theme Collaboration Against Fraud in Banking and Payment Services Ecosystems. I want to believe that many of you who have bank accounts have always been reminded through SMS and other messages to safeguard your PIN codes and also to safeguard your password, simply because of any sort of infringement when it comes to the banking sector, especially for those who have lost money from the fraudsters. Now, today, Thursday, there is high expectations that the march to Parliament is likely to continue, because the organizers seem to be moving forward with their agenda to see many of the members of Parliament involved in corruption charged over their offences. And then also, many of those that are leading this same march to Parliament do believe that the high-ranking officials need to also resign from their offices. Now, looking back at the protests on Tuesday, the 23rd of this very month, you get to realize that some of the businesses, especially outdoor businesses, were greatly affected simply because of the protests. This is because of the heavy deployment and, of course, the roadblocks that were being put in place by the security operatives in the capital. And then also following the situation that was happening or that occurred in Kampala while some of the arrests were taking place. Now, looking back at some of the issues that were arising, especially from the many business leaders within Kampala, many of them counted some losses. Like I did mention, many of those that are doing business outdoor, because you do realize that there were certain lanes and certain avenues in Kampala that were shut down simply because the security operations were continuing, and of course there was high level of deployment in Kampala, and that is something that you can easily observe even as of today, because some of the traders continued to count losses as the security even today maintains the deployment. Now, looking deeper into this report, shows that the leadership of Kampala City Traders, that is Kasita and other trader groups, expressed concerns that the heightened security development and within the country or within the Kampala metropolitan area is threatening their businesses, because it is also threatening potential customers and buyers from coming to the city, because many of them are scared or worried about any kind of violence that may likely occur simply because of what they are seeing, and meaning that many are not having the numbers of customers as they've been having over the past few weeks. Now, the movement restrictions to Parliament are some of the things that have caused these losses, according to many of the traders, who have also called upon the security operatives not to intervene in their businesses. But following that planned protest, you get to realize that many of the deployments are also to safeguard the business community from any sort of violence that may occur from some of the demonstrators who are demonstrating against corruption in the country. Now, lastly, from our business news, we now look at the Forex market to see how the market has been faring on for the past 24 hours. This is courtesy of the central bank. Now, the US dollar opened at 3,689.77 while selling at 3,699.77. That is yesterday. By midday, it was buying at 3,709.59 while selling was at 3,719.59. That is a slight increase. Then closing time saw the US dollar buy at 3,712.18 while selling was at 3,722.18. The Great Britain pound was buying at 4,786.85 while selling was 4,799.75. The euro was buying at 4,028.08 while selling was 4,038.93. The Kenyan shilling was buying at 28.01 while selling at 28.09. It has been the same for quite a number of days. And the Tanzanian shilling dropped slightly to 1.38 while also selling with 1.38. And lastly, the South African rand was buying at 201.57 while selling was at 202.11 shillings. Well, business is done here this week. I'll be back on Monday with the latest from the world of business. Saturday, though, is a business roundup from 8:30 p.m. on UBC as we give you a roundup of the same business reports that have been making headlines. But for now, Good Morning Uganda continues. Chantal Oliver Kandinda is here with the traffic updates. Good morning.
Well, how do we maneuver through today's traffic? Let's find out this morning as you are going about your business now. Let's start off from the Wampeo Clock Tower. And the reason as why we choose this is because it's close to the central part that most people might or use while trying to make their way to their different destinations. Now, Wampeo Clock Tower seems to be mad with some traffic, and also same goes for the Kampala Ginger Highway. There is a bit of holdups and slow movement, but also there is traffic on there. If you're thinking of joining First Street, then you are headed for some bit of traffic, and I maybe would say you might want to choose another route for you to use. However, when you look at Wampeo Avenue itself, as you're closing into the very roundabout or that very clock tower, you'll be finding traffic both ways for those who are exiting and those who are joining the clock tower or those who are joining the roundabout. However, when you get deep inside into Wampeo, you'll find that there'll be a bit of slow movement somewhere, and there'll be a bit of holdups in there and some deep red zones, but after that you'll be finding no traffic and you'll be able to move. And if you're joining Upper Kololo Road, there is no traffic whatsoever and nothing to worry about. And if you intend to join the Upper Kololo Terrace, there is also no traffic except for a little bit of slow movement and nothing much for you to worry about. However, if you're proceeding from the Wampeo Clock Tower or that very roundabout proceeding to Ginger Road, there is no traffic. However, if you are joining the junction or the Ginger Road lights and you're coming from town, you'll be finding a deep red zone that is too much traffic as you are closing into the lights. If you are coming from Nile Avenue, Yusuf Ulule Road, and you're joining Ginger Road, you'll be finding a lot of traffic, especially when you are closing into the Ginger Road lights. Now, when you cross through, Access Road is okay. Station Road as well has no traffic whatsoever. Mukwano Road has some traffic, and of course at the roundabout itself there is traffic and slow movement. And this traffic on Mukwano Road is both way, that is for both those who are exiting the roundabout and those who are joining the roundabout, probably to come to town or to join Ginger Road. Now, Press House Road has no traffic whatsoever. As you can see, you'll be okay to move except for slow movement as you are now closing into joining Prince Badru Kakungulu Road. That is why you'll be finding slow movement, but after that there is no traffic whatsoever. 6th Street is safe for you to use, and 7th Street, because it is under construction, some parts of it will be having some traffic. So if you can use another route, especially if you're late, then you shouldn't. Now, the Winton Street is okay. There is no traffic whatsoever. Now, we are closing into the places that are close to Parliament, and we all do know about the protests that are taking place. And if you're closing into, when you get to the side that is African Village, there is no traffic whatsoever. But when you get to the junction, the Kampala Road junction, the one that has the road that comes from Nema House, the road that connects to Station Road, there is some traffic on that junction and shortly after that. So I highly recommend you do not use it. Now, Nile Avenue, especially up here where we have this roundabout that proceeds to Nile Avenue, the roundabout that comes from Chintu Road, the roundabout that also connects to Parliamentary Avenue, there is traffic and a lot of it. So if you have somewhere else you can pass and avoid this very roundabout, you are better off using this route. Nile Avenue is mad with traffic, especially for you who is exiting this very roundabout, and then after that there is slow movement. Do note that part of the road is closed, so there will be holdups and checks on there, and that goes all the way up the side that has Grand Imperial. That very roundabout as well has some traffic. If you are sloping down, and that is Speak Road side, if you're sloping down trying to join Kampala Road, you'll be finding some traffic, and then which lessens until you now connect to Kampala Road, where you will be finding traffic for you who is exiting town. For you who is trying to join town, you'll be actually finding more traffic than the person who's trying to exit town. Now, if we are using Speak Road, you will also find there is traffic onto Speak Road. Lumumba Avenue is also mad with some traffic. Nakasero Road has a lot of traffic, especially when you have just exited the roundabout. And Tanan Avenue has no traffic at all, so you are safe to use that route, and you'll be getting to your destination in no time. The Square 2 has no traffic whatsoever. you are safe to use that route now. Onto Kampala Road, as you can see, for those who are coming to town, you'll be meeting a lot of traffic and slow movement in the middle there. That is for you who's coming to town. But if you are exiting town, just slow movement because of the different junctions and different street lights. That is why you'll be finding slow movement. But after that, you'll be okay to be able to move. Buganda Road has no traffic, so if you are walking from Buganda Road side, you are okay, as long as you don't use the part that has anything to do with Parliamentary Avenue or Nile Avenue. You are okay to get to town and go about your business. And well, that's it for our traffic updates this morning. Coming up is Good Morning Uganda agenda. Stay with us.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
He expected me to die like within the first 2 years.
Out of the blue, the child will get pains, especially in the wrists. And this happens commonly when children are starting to walk.
Was brought to you by. You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100*21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the Parish development model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The Parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you the tragic story of the mighty empire of Bunyoro Kitara. Enjoy the story of Africa's mighty warrior Omkama Kabalega in Tuko Pamoja Bunyoro segment.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
When the Bachwezi weekend that we see the emergence of all these other kingdoms that were under Bunyoro Kingdom. That's Buganda, Bunyoro, Karagwe, Rwanda, Burundi, Nkore.
We are similar people.
And genetically, we are even the same people.
Use that word, pamoja.
Kagadi at URDT Institute on Friday 2nd August. Hoima Resort Hotel on Saturday 3rd August. Masindi Atibija Hotel on Sunday 4th August 2024. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko pamoja?
107.3 Kampala, 96.9 Mbale, 95.7 Jinja, 98.6 Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Butego. UBC Butego. Coming soon on UBC.
Welcome to Inside Broadcasting.
Sharing with you the process behind what you see on the screens.
My name is Lorene Masika Kazimoto.
Step behind the scenes and witness the magic that brings your daily broadcasts to life.
That's why I come out openly to actually tell you that I'm an investigative journalist. That even when you see me here, I'm actually investigating you guys. So you should be aware about that.
Experience the hustle, the heart, and the human stories of our on and off-air staff.
I see my phone ringing and I'm like, ooh, which number is this? I hear the president on the other line.
The President of the Republic of Uganda.
Of Uganda, yes.
Be inspired, amazed, and part of the journey that powers Uganda's most captivating TV and radio moments.
Because good broadcast comes down to an individual. They should be artistic.
This is Inside Broadcasting.
Inside Broadcasting.
Inside Broadcasting with Mark Wadula.
Coming soon on UBC.
Welcome to today's episode. In this informative video, we will be discussing the essential tips that can greatly contribute to maintaining healthy kidneys. So let's dive in. Tip number 1, stay hydrated. Drinking an adequate amount of water is essential for kidney function. It helps flush out toxins and waste products from the body. Aim for at least 8 glasses of water a day to keep your kidneys hydrated and functioning optimally. Tip number 2, eat a balanced diet. Include fruits, vegetables, and whole grains in your meals. Avoid excessive salt and processed foods that can put strain on your kidneys. A healthy diet will provide essential nutrients and support kidney health. Limit the intake of processed foods, salt, and added sugars. Tip number 3, control blood pressure. High blood pressure can damage the kidneys over time. Monitor and manage your blood pressure through a healthy lifestyle, including a low-sodium diet, regular exercise, and stress management. Tip number 4, maintain a healthy weight. Being overweight or obese can increase the risk of kidney disease. Adopting a healthy diet and regular exercise can help maintain a healthy weight. Tip number 5, monitor blood sugar. High blood sugar levels can damage the kidneys. If you have diabetes, manage your blood sugar levels through medication, a balanced diet, and regular exercise. Tip number 6, quit smoking. Smoking narrows blood vessels and reduces blood flow to the kidneys, leading to kidney damage. Kick the habit for better kidney health. Tip number 7, limit alcohol consumption. Moderation is key. Excessive alcohol consumption can strain the kidneys and contribute to kidney damage. Limit your alcohol intake to protect their long-term function. Tip number 8, limit your salt intake. Too much salt can raise your blood pressure and strain your kidneys. Opt for low-sodium alternatives whenever possible. Tip number 9, limit over-the-counter painkillers. Overuse of non-prescription pain relievers, such as NSAIDs, can harm the kidneys. Use these medications with caution and follow the recommended dosage. Consult your doctor for safer alternatives. Tip number 10, regular health checkups. Schedule regular checkups with your healthcare provider. Monitoring blood pressure, blood sugar levels, and kidney function through routine tests is important for early detection of potential issue. By following these 10 essential tips, you can take control of your kidney health and prevent future complications. Thanks for watching this video. If you found it helpful, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more valuable information on maintaining a healthy lifestyle. This program is produced by Sani Production, powered by UBC TV, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
A lovely morning, and thank you so much for keeping it with us on UBC TV. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda Agenda. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono, and we are going to be addressing the housing deficit in Uganda through cooperatives. Now, it's very clear that when you look at our population, we have an housing gap in Uganda. And it's a desire for every mature person to have their own house. Many have gotten houses through mortgage, through various systems that have been put in place for you to own a house. But today we want to look at how does the housing deficit be solved through using the cooperative model. And every time I talk about cooperatives, there is one name that has been around for some time and has devoted his entire time to ensure that Ugandans understand the cooperative model and maybe what we term as the good old days of cooperatives return. Because who will forget? Many people will tell you how they went to school because of cooperatives, how they had everything running smoothly using the cooperatives. One would tell me that for us, paying school fees was not a problem. They asked, what do you mean it wasn't a problem? Well, I'd have my coffee, they'll just give me a receipt, and life was so smooth, so good. And I'm like, well, can we have that back? He says, yes, we can. And that is what Ivan is striving to see. And of course, even have a cooperative bank. Something in the offing, but it's not the topic of today. Now, join me, welcome the General Secretary, Uganda Cooperative Alliance, Ivan Asimwe.
Thank you, moderator. Good morning, our viewers. I'm happy to be here once again.
And just next to me is Nathan Ranga, the General Manager, Uganda Housing Cooperative. You're most welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chirabo. Good morning, everyone. My name is Nathan Ranga, and I'm the General Manager of Uganda Housing Cooperative Union. And here we are today going to discuss the issue of cooperative housing in a view to bridge the housing deficit in Uganda. Thank you.
Maybe before we go any further, it is very important that our viewer gets to understand when we talk about cooperatives, what are we referring to, and what are the various forms of cooperatives, because it seems every day I draw my knowledge to another form of cooperative. We had now the financial, today we're having the housing. The other time I had, is it agro-based? So please, Ivan, do this for me.
Thank you so much, moderator. My name is Ivan Asimwe once again, the General Secretary of Uganda Cooperative Alliance. First of all, I want to really congratulate everyone for having gone through the Cooperative Week very successfully. We celebrated His Excellency the President, who was the chief guest, was represented by the third Deputy Prime Minister, and we were at Misamvu grounds in Bukoma Nsimbi. So the week went on very well, and I want to really appreciate in a very special way the board and management of UBC, who gave us a live coverage for that event, and you covered all the activities throughout the week. Indeed, you're a national television, and I want to thank you for all of this. And the cooperators joining me to thank UBC, because you have really given us the platform. Whenever you do talk of cooperatives in the olden days, people could not understand them. I remember when I had just started coming here, you talk about cooperatives, people call you, these unions died, such things, not knowing what cooperatives are. But here in the country, we are talking of over 50,000 registered cooperatives serving over 18 million Ugandans, and all these are mature people. So we have the largest constituency in the whole country as cooperatives. Now, cooperatives, like you have mentioned, they are not only in agriculture. No.
Many Ugandans talk about cooperatives, many will rush to agriculture.
And you are very right. Whenever you talk about cooperatives, I really had a burden, and that is why I appreciate you for giving us this time for Ugandans to know when you talk about cooperatives, you don't mean coffee and cotton alone. You mean cooperatives in all sectors of the economy. Talk about housing. That's why we are here. The housing cooperatives. There are so many housing cooperatives that have now formed a housing cooperative union where Nathan is working as a general manager. So there are so many, and the purpose of this is where me, Chirabo, Nathan, and the others, because we cannot, even if we can individually, but we put our resources together. Take an example. These are market vendors. The other day we were there at Kwefako, and women were giving testimonies. Can you believe market vendors in Owino and other markets who were renting, staying in slum areas, having no shelter? What they did, they came together and started mobilizing 2,000 shillings per week, every Saturday, every Thursday, 2,000 shillings per week, 34 women. Then they came together, collected all that money, acquired the land, and continued to collect their money every week, and it is mandatory, 2,000 shillings. Then they started the construction. When you go there, moderator, today at Kwefako Housing Cooperative Society, it is a city on its own. Now migrating from the slum area up to that center. Now, of course, they got it as a mortgage. They could not raise all the required cash. But the little money they collected, added on to the mortgage, now they are paying back. Can you believe that each house is a sitting room, 2 bedrooms with a compound, and the person is paying 70,000 shillings per month, paying back, and then after you own the house? This is a very good model. I wish all Ugandans understood this model. Those are housing cooperatives. You go to financial cooperatives, those are circles, savings and credit cooperative organizations. You go to agricultural production and marketing cooperatives. Now talk of Bugisu, Banyankole Kweterana, East Acholi, West Acholi, Wamarand, Chibinge, Masaka Cooperative Union, and others. There are so many. Now you go to health cooperatives. These are cooperatives that provide health services, and they have gone ahead to set up hospitals to provide health care to Ugandans. You go to transport cooperatives, borders, you have seen them in Kampala. Talk about our Kura Nume. Have you seen buses for Kura Nume? That's a cooperative union. Uganda Cooperative Transport Union in Kawempe. Those are cooperatives. Then you go to energy cooperatives. You talk of, let's say, Chegegwa Energy Cooperative Society that distributes power to communities over 12 districts. Then you go to mining sector. They are also there. So there are so many cooperatives in this country. So you do not only look at agriculture, but you look at the entire ecosystem, and then you are able. And why are people forming these cooperatives? Both the elite, the illiterate, the young, the old. People have realized the power of cooperation. I'll give just an example, the viewers.
Please, before I come to
and
Nathan.
Especially encouraging Ugandans. Why are we educated? First of all, do we go to school just to speak English? We go to school to acquire knowledge and skills so that we use this knowledge and skills to make money. If you cannot do that, then don't tell people that you're educated. Now, the example is here. I will give my personal example. And I want viewers to listen to this, especially the educated, people who have gone to school. I personally was renting here in Kampala. And by that time, I was a chartered accountant, a finance expert who knows how to plan. My God, renting, paying 750,000 per month. Times a year, that is 9 million. Times 10 years, that is 90 million. Now, you are giving money to the landlord, but the house belongs to the landlord. You don't have any this is not your facility. I sat with someone who is a P3 graduate, but a very strong businessman in Kampala. He asks me a question. Ivan, you studied? Yes. Hey, I have studied. I have books. You know the way we talk with the land. Hey, I have books. I have my bachelor's. I have master's. I don't know what you are telling me. Then he asked me, are you renting? I said, because you are my friend, I want us to talk business. Are you renting? I said, yes, I'm renting. I first hesitated to tell him. I said, finally, I opened up. Yes, I'm renting. how much are you paying? I explained to him. The man asked me, wasoma, what wasoma? Did you go to school or didn't you go to school? I told, hey, you man, I have a master's, I'm even a CPA. He said, no. You just went to a compound of a school, but you have not learned. Because this money you are paying every month to a landlord, you can actually go to a bank, you get a mortgage, you own your own house. Instead of paying 750 to a landlord, you pay it back to a bank. After 10 years, you own a house. This is what I did, and this is the testimony I'm making. So Ugandans who are there, if you cannot afford individually, come together through a group, do what Kwefako Women Have Group has done, and tomorrow you are also a landlord, a landlady, or you sleep in your own house. Thank you.
Well, that is Ivan. I told you he's very passionate about cooperatives, and he can take as long as time can give to talk about cooperatives. Now I go to Nathan. Today we are looking at addressing the housing deficit in Uganda through cooperatives. First, let's understand how do we stand as a country in terms of the housing deficit, briefly.
See, thank you, Mr. Cherabo. According to UBOS statistics from 2018, the housing deficit stood at 2.5 million housing units. So when you are talking about the housing deficit, we mean the existing housing units vis-a-vis the households who need these houses. The implication is that by 2018, Uganda had that gap. But when you look at our population growth rate and urbanization rate, it has already doubled. So this calls for various strategies in ensuring that this housing deficit can be closed. Also, in the 2016-2017 household survey, the statistics revealed that 71% of people who stay in Kampala and the urban areas are renting. And these people, because of the limited supply for rental housing, they keep moving from one rental house to another after 2 years, just because they have failed to raise the rental fees. So, looking at all those statistics, we see that we must come up with a model which can address this, which can provide housing services at affordable rates, and so that all Ugandans can access affordable and sustainable housing services. Now, you see, housing cooperatives, this concept looks new, sounds new in the ears of Ugandans, because like the General Secretary has said, Ugandans are so much versed with farmer cooperatives, dairy cooperatives, but this concept has worked all over the world. Take an example. In Europe, we have the HSB, that is in Sweden. This housing cooperative has existed for over 90 years, providing affordable and sustainable housing solutions to the people of Sweden. Go to Canada. We have the Cooperative Housing Federation of Canada. This is providing over 100 and thousands of houses to the people of Canada. And it provides rental housing for over 90% of the dwellers in Berlin. So we really need to look at this concept as one way that is sustainable to address the housing deficit. Now, if you also go to India, India we have the self-employed women associations housing cooperatives. These are cooperatives which are delivering housing services to the Juakali women in India, and you know the population of India. So these examples speak a lot. Go to our neighbors here in Kenya, Nairobi. We have the National Housing Cooperative Union of Kenya. It's called NACHU. For the recent years, it has provided over 12,000 houses to the citizens of Nairobi. And if you check on the real estate blog post of Kenya, it shows that housing cooperatives in Kenya provide on average between 7,000 to 8,000 houses to the people of Kenya. So looking at those statistics, we see that that is a model that can work well here in Uganda to address the housing challenges of Ugandans.
Now, you've talked about this model, but to the person watching us, give us an in-depth understanding of how this model works and how it can be a solution to Uganda's problem, rather than, yes, good examples, but one would ask themselves, how do I join? How do I get that house? Yes.
Moderator, just the way you see cooperatives, you see cooperatives are made by people who have seen an opportunity or who are going through a challenge. We are here, a wild cat enters, we must get a solution. Else you are all finished. Now, here are the young people. Let's say the borders.
Are those the women you talked about?
Yeah, or even these women selling their tomatoes and other perishables in the markets. You see, where they are staying, most of them you find they are staying in slum areas.
Yes.
Because they cannot afford the rent of Kororo and Naguru, so they stay the other side. Secondly, how much they are paying is more. So that at the end of the day, you are only able to pay that small rent and you feed yourself. Maybe take your child to UP school.
Just
and
leave
you
hand
end
to
there.
mouth.
Just hand to mouth. Very good. Now, you realize that actually we are having this challenge. We are renting, even the landlord is not even appreciating us. What do we do? Let us come together as women in Nakawa market, organize ourselves, form a group, and that group eventually is registered as a cooperative society, and then you start pulling resources together. You can agree every week, each woman will contribute 2,000 or 10,000, but with the vision of acquiring a house in the next 1 or 2 years. Now, when you keep contributing, of course, 1 by 1 plus 1 makes a bundle. Then you acquire land, put it there. Get experts, design a plan. Either you want to construct carinas, condominiums, or you want to construct semi-detached houses. It depends on your plan. How many are you? Maybe you are 50 and you can now own that. Then eventually you now plan and start construction. Now, because you do not have enough resources, there are very many banks here which are willing to support you, to give you sort of a mortgage. They construct everything, like you see a deed in Lira, in Gwengabala. Then after construction, the house is a mortgage, and then you keep paying slowly, slowly, slowly. Now, you see, you remember you are paying, but at the end of the day, you will own this house as a personal property. Instead of paying rent, that the Kwefako model is so, where a woman is paying 70,000 per month, which literally, if you were to pay rent in that house, which I saw, a sitting room and 2 bedrooms plus everything, kitchen and the bathroom, it is around 500,000. It means that even a woman who is in Nakawa market vending tomatoes has the capacity to sleep in such a good house and is only paying 70,000 per month, paying back to the bank, instead of paying 500,000 as rent, and yet the house is not used. So this is a very good model. That is how it works. Maybe Nathan can add on.
Yes, thank you. I think we need to first of all recognize the government intervention in terms of promoting this a model of cooperative. The government has also realized this housing deficit, and through the National Housing Policy of 2016, Policy Statement 12, government committed itself to promote housing cooperatives in all communities within this country, to ensure that the communities and the individuals there can use this model of pooling resources together, buy land together, and construct together, because we know.
So those are the houses.
Those are the houses of
Kwefako. Yes.
Now, when you look at the cost of land today here in Kampala, it is out of reach for the low-income earners, even outside Kampala. But we are saying this model, You pull your resources together, buy big chunks of land, subdivide them, plan them well to ensure that they have all the services required for any decent home. The road structures, the infrastructures such as electricity and water. That alone, of course, triggers some other development around the area. So you realize that by doing so, a plot you would have gotten, let's say, at 15, 20 million, you are getting it at 2 million, like the examples of the previously housing cooperatives for which we have given land titles, which are yet to construct. So we see this approach as one way of pulling the cost of housing down, but also facilitating the marginalized families, those ones who can't go to the open market to buy houses, to access them. So with this model, you just set your targets. Let's say a group of 30 members have come up and they are willing to form a housing cooperative. You set targets. You first of all agree on where your estate you would want it to be. Let's say you want your estate to be in Wachiso. You are 10 members, you are 30 members, and you want to buy 2 acres of land. That is 2 acres of land, assuming that each acre is at 30 million. Those are already 60 million. Now, 60 million divided by the 30 members means that everyone is contributing 2 million. So that alone makes one acquire this land cheaply. When it comes to construction, because in cooperatives we are looking at the power of cooperation, pulling resources together. We can pull our resources together. These resources can act as security within a financial institution, and we are able to get financial services in form of a loan, use this money to come up with a structure, and then after start repaying. You know, when you are paying as a group, you are sharing the financial burden, which eventually becomes cheaper, and consequently, every member would be relieved of the financial burden, and they will be able to come up with their housing structure.
Now, in the beginning of your submission, you talked about success stories.
Yes.
In other parts of the world. Let me look at Uganda's case. Do we have, apart from the ladies that we've just talked about, how are we standing in terms of the housing cooperatives addressing the deficit?
Currently, we have 111 housing cooperative societies in Uganda.
All those?
Yes, and for the Uganda Housing Cooperative Union, which is the National Union of Housing Cooperatives, we have 42 housing cooperatives which are directly affiliated to the union. And within these members, we have a minimum, within each housing cooperative, which is affiliated to the union, there are a minimum of 30 members. Meaning that, because we have those where housing cooperative has over 70, 80 members. So you realize that each cooperative has a role to play in terms of addressing the housing challenges of their members. Now, of course, we have talked about one of the success stories, which is Kwefako Housing Cooperative Society Estate. These women have made it. In northern Uganda, we have used the community-led housing cooperative model. That is a watch sub-county in Gulu, using one of the principles of cooperative, that is economic participation. You know, these are people in rural areas, don't have security, they can't get loans from financial services because of absence of collateral. We have promoted projects such as farming for housing to enhance these people's incomes. Raise money to save within the housing cooperative, buy cement. Using this model, they help one another to come up with the structures. And in Gulu, we have had 2 projects. That is for Awach Housing Cooperative Society, and then by Bona Oloiju. Those are places in Gulu, and those are a different housing cooperative society we have there. And the communities are learning from them how they have done it, how they have saved, how they have come up with these structures, and it is creating a multiplier effect.
That is it.
I love that, a multiplier effect. Ivan, when we hear a number of cooperatives just talked about, and about 40-something affiliated to the apex body in terms of housing cooperatives, now one would wonder, with such a very good idea, which can be a solution to a very big problem, the housing deficit, why are we still seeing this problem?
First of all, I want to appreciate, he has mentioned the issue of the policy, the housing policy in Uganda. You know, Uganda has the best policies.
Yes.
But on the ground, the story is a bit different. So I would really want to ask the government, especially the Ministry of Lands, to really adopt the cooperative model, because this is where you bring many people on board. Instead of looking at individuals, let's look at everybody. Secondly, I want to inform Ugandans that when we are talking about this, we have used the example of Kwefako. But even the bourgeoisies, the members of Kwagarana, you can actually have your cooperative in housing. And you find you build your own city. Like as mentioned, when you look at the examples in Norway, in Poland, you go to Egypt, you go to Zimbabwe here, you go to Kenya. If you went to Nairobi and see NACHU, the National Housing Cooperative Union of Kenya, my God, you can't believe that this is a cooperative. These are skyscrapers. So we are not only talking about this other class of market vendors, we mean all Ugandans, the educated, me and Cherabo. We are still renting. We started together. We finished together. We can come together, like as mentioned. We go somewhere, we buy an acre of land. You know how these real estate investors are making money?
Yes.
He buys a whole acre, subdivides it. An acre which he bought at 50 million, subdivides, and in total, he's making like 200 million. So if you were many, buy that acre of land, subdivide, and there is a plot for me and you, then we start constructing together. Even the cost of construction reduces. Now eventually we all have accommodation, which fits very well within the Sustainable Development Goal 11. Now, which means that as a country, we need to be focusing on this. You have asked me, why are we not moving? What is the issue? The issue has been visibility. Many people do not know. And you have rightly mentioned that whenever you talk about cooperatives, people very fast think of the farmers' cooperatives. Now they also go to PDM, forgetting that there are other types and forms of cooperatives. So the union has all of that membership, and then the union by structure now affiliates Uganda Cooperative Alliance as an apex body. So there is a lot that we need Ugandans. We need a lot of information for Ugandans to know that you can cooperate around anything that can generate money, that can generate economies of scale. So I would say we are not yet there, but that is where we are heading, because see how we started and see how we have gone, and the success stories. Was it on today is Thursday? Was it on Tuesday?
On Tuesday.
Yes, on Tuesday we were there. We are celebrating with the housing cooperative, celebrating the Post-International Cooperative Day.
Yes.
And during that event, we gave out 3 land titles. Is going to mention those groups. So, and these people have also used the same approach, acquired land, so they have gotten their titles within their names. Now they are going to the next level of construction. It means that if we add in more visibility, if Ugandans continue to understand that actually cooperation is beyond agriculture, then we shall be there. Because you see, I've always mentioned this here. Europeans and Americans, they understood the cooperative model very early. And they moved very fast. That is why the European economies, the economy of Europe and America, they are all built on cooperatives. This morning I was reading, do you know that the largest financial institution, financial cooperative, is in France? 2.7 trillion US dollars. The second one is also in France. Then you go to Germany. Germany is leading. You go to Denmark, you go to Italy, everywhere.
All of them, the cooperative
when you are to
model.
rank the best 300 cooperatives in the world, there is none in Africa. Are you seeing?
Is it mistrust?
But when they cross over and they come to Africa, they teach capitalism.
Yes.
So why don't you teach the model that has helped you to transform your economies? Why are you teaching a different model? It means ideally they don't want Africans to develop because they know capitalism will benefit them with their companies that are already here. So we need to wake up as Ugandans, as Africans, learn to cooperate, because the beauty with the cooperatives, you work together, you come together, you love each other, you have the passion, and that inherently builds that cohesion that makes social economic transformation. That is the beauty with the cooperatives. Once we are together, three of us, are you a member of any group?
Yes.
Not even a cooperative, but a group.
Yes.
Do you know that you always have time to sit together? Yes, Chirabo, how are you? How is your family? That one alone, it means that there is a network between me and you. So that is what cooperatives build. So eventually when people cooperate, they love each other, they have concern for each other, then all of you, social and economically, transform the economies. So yes, we haven't reached there, that is where we are heading, and we appreciate you for always giving us such an opportunity.
Well, we are spreading the gospel of cooperatives because we highly believe that this model, if well understood by Ugandans and with a lot of support, because I must say government of Uganda has supported the cooperative movement. When you look at the youth livelihood, still you see the cooperative movement. Talk about what everybody understands, or majority, the SACCOs, the savings and credit cooperatives. SACCOs are cooperatives, by the way. And they are financial cooperatives. And this is one of the areas or avenues that government is using to ensure financial inclusion. Look at the parish development model, pillar 3, that is financial inclusion. Government wants people that have come together. Notice they have a common enemy to attack. Then government aids them to ensure that they just give them an assistance, a financial assistance to get them to where they are. And government believes that 39% of our population that are out of the money economy, through this model still, we shall have them into the money economy. So that's why we put a lot of emphasis when it comes to cooperatives in Uganda. We believe, we know that if well understood and embraced to the latter, then I can guarantee you the stories the GS usually refers to as China, France, Denmark, Germany will be told of Uganda. That's the cooperative model in the health sector, in the journalism sector, in the housing sector, and well, we will be in that middle class economy. Well, Nathan, what is your call to action regarding this?
You see, you mentioned that this good information is not widely known. And of course, the issue is that there is that information gap. And people are just learning this model of cooperative because there is limited awareness. So we are calling upon all stakeholders, government, if it means increasing the budget for cooperatives, to do so that awareness can be created about this concept. I know the housing policy lies within the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development. More resources should be devoted towards popularizing this model, this concept of housing cooperative, so that people get to know what it actually means. We are calling upon the different stakeholders, because housing is not just the structure, but it follows a value chain. Housing is capital intensive in nature. It involves our principles of economic empowerment. Those who are there and they can support in terms of empowering our communities economically, when communities are empowered, we are assured that we are enhancing their income levels. And consequently, they are saving. They will be able to save for the house and the development partners out there. we are calling upon for your support to ensure that we popularize this concept of housing cooperative. For us as Uganda Housing Cooperative Union, we are committed to taking this entire concept throughout the country to ensure that Ugandans, the low-income earners, and the other income brackets of people can be able to adopt it to ensure that they can come up with affordable and sustainable housing solutions for the communities we are living in. And to the employers out there, you know, some of us are in formal employment, and the people who look at us within the communities, some of them think that, these people have already made it. But like I've told you, the statistics, we showed that 71% of people in urban areas are renting. Now, and the cost of renting is ever increasing. So the employers can use this model to liberate their employees from this issue of renting. And I want to assure you, because I've heard in the communities, and some of my friends, someone will tell you, I don't have any problem with my landlord. My friend, your landlord is just happy with you because you are responding to his financial needs. But however religiously you may comply with paying their rental fees, they can never donate that house to you. Form a housing cooperative and liberate yourself.
Well, thank you so much, Nathan. Well, time is fast spent. We must leave room to the sportsman. But before we do that, I can't go without the General Secretary giving us his last remarks.
Thank you so much, Moderator. I want to thank you. And UBC, I want to thank the viewers. Housing is beyond a house, like he has mentioned. And we are looking at, it's a whole value chain. So Ugandans, I want us to note that when we are talking about the housing cooperatives, don't only think about a house, but something beyond that, including even the economic activities. These people come together. Yes, they are doing ABCD, acquiring land and constructing, but they are also in different economic activities that will give them money for them to go ahead with the activities. Secondly, I want to urge government, our government, thank you so much for supporting cooperatives. But this is the high time for us to boldly and openly support the cooperative model and mention it as a cooperative model. Like Europe has done, like America has done, and Asia Pacific, South Korea, Malaysia and Japan, they have done. They are very clear. We are using a cooperative model because there is no need of us keeping hiding. You know, I have a beautiful girl. She's very beautiful, but I don't want to mention her name. I keep nicknaming her. Be clear and say, this is so and so. So as a country, you know, we have gone through very many development programs. Entandikwa, now Parish development model, Emyoga, Bonabagaga Wale, whichever. And all of those, when you see them, they are actually looking at the cooperative model. So I would want to urge government, let's open and boldly come in, support the model which we call cooperativism. And for us to do it better, let us support cooperative education, let us support the ministries concerned, let us facilitate the food soldiers who are the commercial officers at a very district level or even city or municipality. Let us support Uganda Cooperative Alliance. We support all of these cooperatives. And I want to tell you, Moderator, in the next few years, having done all of that, this country would be very far and we shall be part of the first-class world. I thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Ivan and Nathan, and above all, our viewer. Thank you for being with us. Now, it's very interesting that we know the problem and the best approach to tackle the problem. Let's address the cooperative model, and we'll get where we need to be as a country and as people in Uganda. See you in the next hour. Ruben is ready to give us sports updates. Good morning.
Live